All right, Seton, what's the poll question for the first hour of the program?
Well, we're putting up their better pregame speech guy for the Giants, Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston. We have another one here from Paul. You can put one into place, a hard salary cap in baseball or a return to the old transfer system in college sports. It's interesting because I'm going to throw in a neither there because there may be some of us who don't want either of those things in sports.
Yeah, I think baseball is going to look at this a hard salary cap at some point because of the disparity between what they spend with the Oakland A's, Sacramento A's, what you spend with the Dodgers. I understand it. And most of these owners, they just want to make money. They don't want to have to spend a lot of money, and they're kind of in their comfort zone. I think if you have, let's raise the floor a little bit, you must spend at least this. I think that would be better for the game. But I don't know if you're going to can you get enough owners who are going to say, and when you think about it, how many owners, how many teams can actually afford to spend $400, $500 million? Like, not many. I think the Cubs have a player. Didn't they just sign somebody to like a 14-year, $600 million deal?
No, that's a guy who they think will be worth that when he's done. He's like got a 1-year deal now, Kyle Tucker with the Cubs, and they think that he'll be on the market next year and someone will give him that monster deal.
Oh, my God. You know, I'd be all in favor of fiscal sanity with some of these signings here, but I think, and Jeff Passan of the Mothership had a column about that, you know, we're going to be headed to maybe a work stoppage in a couple of years. Look, it's not fun to talk about potential work stoppages or strikes because I covered them. When I worked in New York, I covered, you know, NFL strikes, baseball strikes, not fun at all. But, you know, sometimes you need to have a reset here. And I wonder if baseball and the ownership groups will say we need to have, you know, hard cap in here. I'm all for it. Whatever you can get, you get. You know, nobody ever says to the owner, hey, you're making too much money here. You know, it's supply and demand. It's timing. What you ask for, when you ask for it, how good are you? Comparing you to a player of yesteryear. I mean, this is what happens. It's same thing with the transfer portal. If I look at the numbers, now let's say I took all of Division II and Division I. I'm not going to put Division III in there because they're really not affecting the transfer portal. They're not getting money. But Division II, we saw what those players did for Drake, so you have to factor that in. But let's say 1,000 are transferring. What is the percentage of basketball players and those who are transferring? What do you have? 20,000 basketball players?
No, there's not. If you include D3, there would be 20,000.
Okay.
Between D1 and D2, there's probably somewhere between 10 and 14,000 players.
Okay. So the percentage, 1,000 so far, let's say it's 12,000 Division II and Division I players. Is that an alarming rate? And what happens is, we think of, in our world, this makes it tougher for me to follow the sport. Well, if you're in Connecticut or you're in Arizona, you're at UCLA, you're following your team, you're well-versed in who your team is getting and who your team is losing. Now, us on the outside, we're not following it day to day. But if you talk to somebody and say, hey, saw where you're getting a 4-star recruit, boom, that fan's going to tell you everything about that player. But we bemoan the fact, I don't even know who these guys are. But the local fan, that's your team, that's your player, that's your recruit, that's your transfer portal. They know. So I think there's an alarmist, the sky is falling. It's still good basketball. Yes, is it top-heavy with chalk this year? It is. Do we miss a mid-major? Do we miss an 11 seed? Yes, we do. I don't think this is the way it's going to be. I think, you know, this feels like it's an aberration, maybe anomaly. It's been back-to-back years, but okay, maybe we'll get that. And then everybody will be a little bit better with this. But I think oh my gosh, the transfer portal, I can't keep track. Well, you can't keep track. And Jeff Goodman, a college basketball reporter, he said, you know, basically that, what's going on here? This is terrible. it makes it tougher for him to do his job. But if I'm a local basketball fan, like a Connecticut basketball fan will be, Marvin knows who they're getting, who you're recruiting, who you're losing. Like, you know that. We don't. And therefore, oh my God, this is terrible here. Yes, Eden.
It is a weird thing because right now at the same time you have people complaining about college basketball stinks because I don't know who any of the players are. They move around so much. And at the same time, college basketball stinks because look at the tournament. There's no Cinderellas. Well, if it was a Cinderella, you know every Robert Morris basketball player? Of course not. Nobody has any idea who those kids are. You know, so it's like you're kind of trying to have it both ways, where you want to know all of the players, and at the same time, you want all of these surprise players too.
And then you have women's college basketball where they have to stay. Now, they could transfer, but they have to stay in college for 4 years. You have the familiarity with the women's game. Now, I believe the ratings, the viewership was up. Might be, a record high for viewership with March Madness. So, something's not right in the situation here. But I do think it's the get off my lawn, I don't know who these players are. Now, would I love to see, a guy be like Christian Laettner? Cooper Flagg plays 4 years. Yes. But he's not going to pass up on the money in the NBA. Or Tim Duncan stays in his entire career at Wake Forest. Yes, I would love it. I mean, I grew up where Lou Alcindor spent his entire career at UCLA. Bill Walton spent his entire career at UCLA. Steve Alford at Indiana. Pete Maravich at LA. Like, yes, I get it. I loved it. The familiarity. It was great to see them play year in and year out. But that's not life anymore. It's about money, opportunity, taking advantage of it, and then move on. Yeah, Paulie.
I'm kind of on the other side of this. I disagree. I think that the transfer portal, like last year, I think it was 600 players entered. This year, it's almost 1,200 today.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I like storylines from year to year, players to support from year to year or follow from year to year, whether it be a team I like or just as a fan of college basketball altogether. And I think it makes it harder as a fan to make appointments to watch teams and learn it. I know it's, I don't know every player every year, no matter what, but I think it hurts the fan experience, players jumping from team to team. If it's your team, you know that if your team is good, they're going to get pillaged by a bigger team. So there's not a lot to invest in from year to year. You got to start fresh every year. And I think consuming the sport, there's no storylines that follow from year to year except for Tom Izzo or Jay Wright or coaches that stay. So I think it hurts the fan experience. It hurts my fan experience.
Yeah, but once again, you're being selfish with how you view this, whether a fan of a team knows who his team is bringing in and not bringing in.
I'm all for players getting paid, but I'm also a little bit for players committing to a franchise, committing to an NIL. I don't know, when you sign with your NIL as a freshman at Marquette, do you have to make it to your sophomore year to get your NIL money? It appears not. And in the NFL, when you sign your contract with a team, you have to make it to year 2 and 3 and 4. I just think that the lack of commitment on either side, including the coaches, hurts the sport altogether for the fan experience.
For the fan experience, I would love to have that. That's why nobody cares about the regular season. But how many sports other than the NFL do you go, I'm locked in the regular season? I mean, let's be honest here. How many sports do we go, golly, can't wait to watch? Like last night. Now, Steph Curry was hurt, but I tuned in to watch the Heat against Golden State. That was must-see TV. Good storyline there. When Luka goes back to Dallas, okay. But how many of those moments do you go, God, the regular season's awesome? Hockey? No. Postseason's awesome. Baseball? You're going to go day to day, night to night, game to game? No. The NBA? No. So college basketball falls in line. College football is week to week, and there's only, there's a finite number of games. It's 15 games, let's say. Then it's interesting. The NFL, take them off the board. College basketball falls in line with the other sports. It's like, all right, we'll figure it out. I watch enough college basketball to at least be fluent in it, but I'm probably in the minority. But I watch it because I love it, but I watch it because I have to watch it. Yes, Marvin.
But when it comes to schools like Duke and Kentucky and Kansas and UCLA, you're watching because it's the school. you know they're going to have a top prize recruit. You don't know who the recruit is, but you know they're going to have a bunch of 5-stars. So you're going to watch because it's Duke versus Kansas year in and year out, and you're going to have to make the transition in players at least every 3 to 4 years. So it's going to be a new, batch of guys.
Yeah, I used to rail on it, but it was for a selfish reason. Then I understand what Paulie's saying. I want basketball to be the way it used to be, but it's not. It can't be. It never will be. Yeah, Paulie.
I think there are ways to do it, but they're pretty extreme, and they're not player friendly. And
of course.
Because I don't think the players should be the priority of the sport, which sounds really weird, but the fans pay the bills. The fans supporting the sponsors pay all the bills. And the NFL is not a players' league. It's a fans' league. They cater to the fans, and the players are a secondary citizen, and they're the most successful sports league in America. If I could change one thing about college sports, you want to sign an NIL deal? Cool. You get all your money, most of your money, almost like a bonus, like a hedge fund guy. You get 80% of your money after your third year here. Great. So you sign at Marquette out of high school, and we're going to pay you blank, blank, blank. Great. You get the lion's share of your money after you complete your third year with our program. Now you're staying. Now it's a better fan experience.
What if I do that with a coach?
Great.
Coaches aren't going to sign up for that.
I know.
So why am I asking the players to do something that the coaches don't have to adhere to?
Because it's best for the fans, and I'm a fan experience person.
But I can't go, hey, it's good for you, but the hell with these kids. It was never about the kids until it became about the kids, and now we're in this situation where everybody's bemoaning the fact that the players have power here. Do I like them jumping around? Ask Connecticut when they won 2 national titles when they took in transfer portal players. Are you okay with the transfer portal? Hell yes. If you do it right, you love it. It's those who lose players. I feel bad for the smaller schools, the mid-majors, where look at what we've got. And then somebody is just waiting to pick you off. Robert Jones is the head coach at Norfolk State, and he had this to say.
This is now a glorified JUCO. This is like Norfolk State Community College, because it's like when I say that, not because of the people or things like that, but it's just the way it is. JUCO coaches, I have so much more respect for them these days, because they have to get a new team every year or every 2 years or something like that, right? Now we got to get a new team every year, every 2. So we basically a glorified JUCO, because these kids, until mid-majors, and not just Norfolk State, until mid-majors get the money that high majors have, we're never going to be able to keep kids here, for a long time. I say it's easy to get them, it's harder to retain them. You can get them because there's a lot of kids that want opportunities. A lot of kids want opportunities, but once they get the opportunity and then they blow up, it's harder to retain them because now the big boys are going to come.
Yes, and the mid-majors are never going to get that money. They're not going to have the money to compete. So you're going to get a guy, you're going to develop a guy, maybe you get him for 2 years, and then he's going to go someplace else. It's just supply and demand. Until you get to that point where you have the haves and the have-nots, you separate them. Maybe you have salary caps. Maybe you have the mid-majors. Maybe they're not playing in March Madness. I mean, there has to be everything's on the table with this as we move forward because it's not going anywhere anytime soon. Yes, Eden.
I think that maybe it's not like in a psychological sense or whatever, but I think if I really boil down what I think people's problem is with the transfer portal and NIL, I think that most grown men have a problem with kids that young making more money than them and having more freedom than you could ever possibly imagine. Nobody can move jobs like that. Cooper Flagg has already made 3 times the amount of money that I've made in my entire life. Every cent I've ever earned, that kid has already made at least 3 times that. And I don't have a problem with it, but I think that dudes who are out working hard, digging ditches, like real work, and you sit down and you watch TV and these little diva kids get to jump around from team to team collecting check after check after check, more money than you could ever possibly dream of, more freedom than you could ever possibly dream of. I think that's really the root of the problem. I don't think it has anything to do with, I can't tell who's on what team anymore. I think it's, how does this 18-year-old kid have so much money and I don't?
Yeah, that doesn't impact me more, other than I want the sport to be great, and I don't think it's great. I don't think it's going to be great, and I miss that for other fans who look at the sport and go, college basketball was wonderful. But it was wonderful because it was controlling these players and they didn't get an opportunity. Coaches could go wherever they wanted. And I didn't look at that side of it. And now you have to look at all sides. And there's many sides to this. And yes, do I want yesteryear? I do. But I got to be fair. If my son was playing and he was good enough to transfer and he was good enough to get $1 million, am I going to go, you know what? Not in my day. We wouldn't allow that. You got to be fair to the situation. And the situation happened because the grown-ups allowed this to happen. Yes.
Somebody comes in and offers that Norfolk State coach 3 times his salary to go to Penn State. He's going to be like, I don't think I'm done here just yet.
At this JUCO.
I still have a mission here at this glorified JUCO.